She is an author of the lesbian werewolf novels Hungry Ghosts and Lunatic Fringe, the upcoming Girl Sex 101, and to keep with her, I have to put out a book a year. Can you imagine a book a year? Like, my laundry list, like that's it. I did my writing for the year, but she writes a book a year. And this was her, I'm gonna make this happen because Girl Sex 101 is gonna be out after the start of the year in 2015. Make sure you get it, it's gonna be beautiful. And I am so excited to present to you AllisonMoon.
Thank you, everyone. Wow, God, I'm so not even focused on my own genitals right now. I'm just focused on everybody else's naughty stories. So thanks for this. Thank you for coming out for Bad Dyke book release, and thank you Awaken Cafe again for hosting us. I'm so thrilled that Bawdy came back to Oakland for one night. So yeah, you know. So this is a story that I've told before, I'm sorry, but it's in my book, so fuck off, I don't care. I'm not an exhibitionist. I just like to fuck in front of large groups of people. And in my world, I'm a sex educator and a writer, and what I love about being a sex educator and writer is not only giving really good information to people and offering them anatomy information and identity context and things, but also I love being able to role model what it means to have a sex life and not be ashamed of it, and be open about one's sex life and not be ashamed of those things. And I feel like that's a gift and a privilege that I have that I really want to be able to offer to other people. And so sometimes I fuck in front of people so they can tell that I'm not ashamed. And so one of the things that's actually really weird about Bad Dyke is that I have no problem getting up in front of you guys, my community, my sex positive Bay Area people, and I love it. And I feel so much connection and so much witnessing. I'm a little bit anxious about having a book that anyone can buy in Bangor or Bangkok or wherever Amazon lives. This is a new thing for me, and so I'm wow, people in Bangkok are gonna be reading about my vajooge. Okay. I'm working on it. And so I thought I actually would tell a story about how people not only can read about my vajooge, but some people have actually seen it in action. This story begins in 2007 at a place that has probably been spoken of more than any place on the Bawdy stage. Camp Beaverton for wayward girls at Burning Man. I think actually there might be a race between who's gotten more people laid, Camp Beaverton or Bawdy. I feel like it should be a death match. So this begins in 2007, and I was one of the founding members of Camp Beaverton. And one day I was just at camp, tending camp, and this person walks up and starts asking me questions about camp, and they're this really sexy, elfish person with tangerine hair. And as they're talking at me, I'm you look familiar. Where do I know you from? Did we go to high school together? Are you on TV? It was just one of those things where I don't know how I know you, but I know you. And so I'm answering questions while this whole narrative is happening in the back of my head. And then all of a sudden, in a flood, literally, a flood, it comes to me, and I witness this person in my memory just gushing all over their partner's face. And I realized that this is Jiz Lee, and that I recognize them from the porno, The Crash Pad, the first one, the beginning of the whole thing. And I'd watched that movie at Outfest, which is the LA LGBT film fest. And if you ever want to get 250 lesbians really uncomfortable, show them a porno in a theater, because it's one of those places that gay guys just really have the leg up on us. Lesbians are not prepared to get that turned on next to people that they haven't actually slept with before. So we're all Jesus, things are happening. So as all of those memories are flooding back, I'm just oh God, you are a lot of hotness. So So, for context, Jizzly is like the genderqueer porn star darling of the Bay Area and of feminist porn in general. And I had a big crush on them before I met them, and now they're standing in front of me asking questions about my camp. And so I'm like, well, allow me to explain what we do here. And so I'm telling them about camp, and then we hit it off, and then we're like, we need to just spend the night together. So we end up going dancing in the playa and like all sorts of fun, like Burning Man adventures, and then we end up in the Beaver Dome, and we give the dome our energy, and the dome gives it back, and we have a really good night together, and it's fun. And then the next day, they come back, and we want to see each other again and hang out again, and we're trying to find like a clean, like dust-free place, which again is at a premium on the playa. And so I'm like asking around, and then I ask what will become my partner, but at that point is not my partner, Reed, who's like the man beeve who has a minivan specifically designed for fucking, where it's like, oh no dust comes in here. There's just lube packets, gloves, and love. That's all that's allowed inside this space. And so Reed offers us the use of the van for the afternoon as long as one or both of us scream out his name while we come. It's an easy yes. It is an easy yes. And so we go into his minivan and we have the sex. And I'm on top of Jizz, and it's really fun, and that goofy, like young, fun playa crush that's happening. And I'm using my fingers on them, and they're like, okay, can you add another finger? I'm like, oh, sure, yep. So I have 2 fingers, and then I add a third, and it feels really nice. And then they're like, can you add another finger? I'm like, yep, totally, yep, okay, 4 fingers. Yes, this is lovely. Aren't we having a good time? Yeah. And then they're like, hey, could you give me your whole hand? And that is exactly the voice that was in my head. Yay. I don't even know what that means. Like, in theory, I know how it works, but I've never actually done it before, and now I'm doing it with somebody who does it for a living. And I'm like, sure, yeah, totally. And like, we do that thing that we all do where we're like, sure, no problem. I can totally, yeah, I've done this a million times, whatever. And so I give them my 4th finger, and I kind of put pressure, and I feel that first hardest part of fisting that happens, which is that first set of knuckles, right? So I know in my head that I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do is I'm supposed to like pull my fingers together in like this arrowhead of love. And I'm supposed to kind of tuck everything as tight together as I can. I'm just supposed to apply gentle pressure and allow them to take me in, right? So this is as far as I've ever gotten in my education of fisting, but I'm willing to go for it. So I'm like, okay. So I do the whole like applying gentle pressure, and I check in, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And so I kind of ease in. And so I get now to this part of my hand, and I'm like, okay, like I'm inside a person's body farther than I've ever been before. Okay, that's a thing. It's sensation. So I put my 4 fingers in, and then they're like, yeah, keep going. I'm like, oh, okay, that's okay. So then I get to the second hardest part. What's the second hardest part? The thumb knuckle. Yes, exactly. Some of you know what you're talking about. So the thumb knuckle is the second hardest part. So I kind of ease in and I get to the thumb knuckle, and I check in, and they're like, okay, I need to breathe. Can you have more lube? I'm like, yeah, I'll have more lube. Yep, perfect. Yep. Add more lube. Breathe. Check in. Yeah, you're good. Yep. And she's like, or they're like, yeah. Okay, come on. I'm like, okay. So I ease the rest of my hand in. And then I feel their body take me in to the wrist. And they look at me, and they say, can you make a fist? And I say, oh, yeah, I can do that. And I just easily tuck my fingers into a fist, and my whole hand is now inside this beautiful person's body, and it is the single most profound physical experience I have ever had in my life. I feel like what I imagine cis guys get to feel by having such an important part of their bodies enveloped by somebody so beautiful and so strong, and it's so mind-blowing. And so I have my hand inside of them, and it feels like an anaconda squeezing. The muscles are so strong, it feels almost like too hard to take. Their muscles squeeze, and they say, would you jack off my cervix? And I'm like, okay, now I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what that even means. And so they explain that they want me to take my knuckles up near the surface and kind of... so I do. It's amazing. And then they scream, "Ree!" And we all won a little bit more that day. We all won Burning Man that moment. So flash forward a couple of years, I have moved to the Bay Area from Los Angeles. I'm living here full time, and Jiz and I are still really good friends. And I get invited to their 30th birthday party, and I'm like, oh yay, party! I see the email, I'm like, oh cool, whatever, Jiz is doing is awesome, I'm in. And then I read the invite, and I'm like, oh, it's a live stream orgy for the Crashpad website. I'm like, I'm a yes, but I've done a lot of things sexually that I'm really excited about. Porn is just a thing that I had never done. And I'm not at all, I have no problem with it. I think it's fantastic, but it was just a part of my brain where I'm like, okay, let's weigh what this means. But ultimately, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'm like, if I have to do, or if I want to do porn for the first time, if I want to explore that thing, doing it in an orgy where there's gonna be like a lot of professional porn stars, and I'm just gonna be one of like 45 people crammed into this apartment. I'm like, that's fine. Like, I can be an extra in the porn. It's easy. I'll be the extra. So I come to the party, and it's like, you know, for those of you who've been on any sort of film set before, porn or otherwise, it's a lot of like standing around waiting. In porn scenarios, it's usually standing around waiting in fewer clothes, and also better snacks, actually. Better snacks at porn shoots, like, you know, carrots, things that are good for you. So I'm eating carrot sticks in the kitchen of the crash pad, kind of nervous. And I know people there, and I'm saying hi to people, and there's a lot of small talk, but I want to participate, but I don't really know what to do. And like, Jiz is doing the whole thing, they're like running the party, and there's like some technical difficulty, so it's kind of getting up slow. So I'm feeling really kind of not quite sure how to be. You know, I'm not a pro. I just like fucking things, and I'm okay with doing it on camera, apparently. So I'm hanging out with some other people, and then then Jiz starts off by doing 30 blowjobs around the bed. I'm like, yes, I shall participate. Look at this. I'll put on my strap on and put my cock in their mouth. Okay. So I do that. It's fun. And then I'm back in the kitchen, uncomfortably eating carrot sticks. And then this really cute little person comes up next to me, and they're like, hey, you want to play? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But I don't know what to do. And he says, you want to be fisted? And I'm like, well, in theory, yes. But I've never done that before. And so then I did, wisely, the thing that you're supposed to do when somebody asks you if they want you to fist them. You say, show me your hands. And so he holds up his hand. He's a very small guy. Very small hands, and he holds his hand up in the universal symbol for you can totally take this, which is the thumb tucked across the palm. Interestingly, it's kind of like the Boy Scout symbol. I don't know how that's supposed to work. So he tucks his thumb, and then actually he's a small dude, and I'm like, that hand is not much girthier than my partner's penis. Let's do this. And so we find our way into the bedroom at the crash pad, and at this point, the crash pad is not like some beautiful film set, it is like an apartment. And so the bedroom is a small bedroom, and there's a queen-size bed, and there are, at this point, tons of people fucking on it. And so we like kind of find our way, this little tiny sliver of free bed right next to the headboard. And so I kind of ease my ass onto the bed, and where I'm sitting, I can actually push my feet onto the wall next to the bed. It's that small of a room. So my ass is on the bed, my feet are against the wall in front of us, and Martin comes up, and he's got the lube, and he's got the handy wipes, and he's got the gloves. And we're ready. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And so, I take off my underwear and I slip on, and we start kind of, he touches me and he's warming me up and he's rubbing my clit. It feels really nice. And I'm just gonna breathe and relax and enjoy myself. Ignore the fact that the bed is vibrating with 25 other people fucking on it. Just gonna relax and enjoy this. Just really, open up. And so I'm lying on the bed, and he eases a finger in me, and it's totally like negligible. He's a tiny man. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he adds another finger. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then he adds a third finger. I'm like, oh, hey, yay, I'm getting fingered. This is great. And then he adds a fourth finger, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is sensation. Sensation is going to happen now. I'm preparing myself for sensation. So I just breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. And he kind of presses that first hardest part of his hand against the opening of my vagina. And I breathe and I squeeze and I relax, and he eases in. And it is a lot of sensation, guys. For those of you who've not been fisted, it is a lot of sensation. But I'm like, okay, no, this is what it's supposed to be. Vaginas are designed to stretch. It's normal, nothing's wrong. It's beautiful. So I breathe, I close my eyes, I go to my happy place, and I nod, and he's like, okay, and he eases the rest, and he eases to that second hardest spot, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that is a thing that is happening. And now all of a sudden I'm like, I'm on that edge of pleasure and pain, and I don't really know what it's supposed to do, but I'm like, come on, vagina, don't fail me now. Do that thing you were designed to do. And I breathe, and I relax. And I close my eyes, and I'm on a beach. I'm drinking a Mai Tai. There are mermaids and dolphins playing bocce ball somewhere. I don't even know. It's beautiful. I'm breathing. I'm relaxing. I'm letting it all just expand. And he puts his hand all the way inside of me, and I can feel him make a fist, and he whispers, it's in. And I open my eyes. And I look down at him, and he's got sweat beading on his hairline. His face is all flushed. And I smile, and we have this moment. And then I see the camera right over his shoulder. Just all up in my business. Just all in my business. And everything in me clenches. And he's now like a monkey in a monkey trap. He cannot go anywhere. We are in this together. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. My vagina live streaming to America's homes. Breathe and relax. This is beautiful. This is educational. We're all learning something right now. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. I close my eyes. Forget it. It's porn. Whatever. I thought I was going to do this. If this was the time I decided to not do porn, it's too late to decide that I'm not doing porn. My vulva is everywhere, on computers, untraceable, and I'm just breathing through it. It's fine, it's beautiful, it's good, yeah. So I look at Martin. He looks at me, we're good. Okay, so I close my eyes, breathe through it, open my eyes, look at the bed, see 25 hot people just doing all sorts of dirty things to each other. There's a beautiful woman laying opposite direction of me from the bed, getting fucked by somebody with a strap on, and I hold out my hand to her, and she smiles, and she grabs my hand, and we get fucked together. And I look at Martin, and I'm like, go for it. And he's like, all right. And so starts, and like in fisting, going for it is like, but it feels like a lot. And so he's going for it, and I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling it. Yes, and it's beautiful. It's good. I'm holding her hand. Everything's happy, wonderful. I open my eyes, look at Martin. Yes, there's the camera. It's cool. Hey, America, what's up, Des Moines? Okay, it's fine. It's fine. And then I look to my right, next to the headboard, and there's a second camera trained on my face. Now, there are 2 cameras at this orgy, and now both of them are on me. There are professional porn stars everywhere, but for some reason, I'm the center of attention, and I'm feeling deeply uncomfortable. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. Everything is fine. This is beautiful. I'm doing my mission. I'm helping people remove shame in their sex lives by removing my shame in my sex life in front of anybody who cares to watch. And so I'm like, what can I do right now that will make this make sense for me and make sense for like my desire and my mission in this world, right? And I'm like, so I take all of the feelings that are happening right here, and I try and channel them to my face. I try and communicate to that camera all of the excitement, the connectedness, the beauty, the joy, the trepidation, the great joy and pleasure that I'm feeling to that camera. Because I don't know where it's reaching, but I know that I want them to know that I am loving this. This is beautiful. This is what I designed my life to be able to offer. So I smile, and I giggle, and I cry a little bit, and I moan, and I check in, and we have this beautiful eye contact moment, and it's clearly consensual and beautiful and necessary, and all of the things that we're taught porn is not supposed to be. And I'm like, I want to do that for whoever's watching, to let them know that I see them even though I don't see them, and hopefully they see me even though they definitely see me. So I give them everything I've got emotionally, and I let them know that I'm here for a reason, specifically for a reason. And it feels like part of my mission, truly. So after the sex, I'm back in the kitchen eating the carrot sticks slightly less awkwardly than before, and the camera comes around and asks all of us to give Jizz a birthday message. And the camera gets to me, and I say, Jizz, you were the first person I fisted, and it was the most profound, transcendent physical experience of my entire life. And I got fisted at your birthday party for the first time, and it was pretty damn cool too. And I love what you let me do. I love what my community lets me do. I love the mission that I have in this world to help people remove the shame that they have in their sex lives, so that they can all feel the permission that they have from that they can give themselves, the permission that they can give themselves to have the sex lives that they want, regardless of how geographically far away they were from that moment or emotionally far away they were from that moment, that they have that permission. And I feel like that moment gave me permission to help everyone else, to the degree that I can, give themselves permission to have that for themselves too. Thank you.